Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Mark from Sysmec, and I'll be kind of giving you a bit of an introduction to what we've been doing with Vodafone Ireland around operational intelligence, and then I'll hand you over to Michael, who will talk a little bit about their journey. So I suppose, first off, just to put this in context, what am I actually talking about, operational intelligence? So I suppose, put simply, we're talking about the ability to make intelligent decisions based on near real-time data, so that you can actually get insight and visibility into the network and actually make decisions and do something intelligent with that data. So in our experience, typically across the service provider community, this has been done in a very siloed approach. You've got different tools for different parts of the network, whether or not that's from the radio access, the transmission, the core, the IMS. You've got different tools for different domains, such as the performance management, the fault management space, customer experience management, and so on. And you've also got different tools for different teams. Typically, we see lots of different tools across optimization, operations, care, and so on. But really, in today's competitive market, operators need to be able to act very quickly. You need to be able to troubleshoot problems quickly. You need to be able to understand the impact of issues. And you need to be able to identify new opportunities as well. So actually, this kind of a siloed approach is just no longer viable with today's competitive market. So really, the only way to do this is to use a correlated view across the network to understand what is actually going on. But again, that comes with its own complexities. With the sheer network complexity and the sheer amount of data across the different parts of the network, whether or not that's from a mobile or from a fixed or from the Wi-Fi part of the network, there's just so much data to be able to deal with. So how does somebody actually do that with today's processes for kind of looking at lots of different tools across the business? The only way to do this is for operational intelligence to evolve towards an automatic correlated view across the whole network, the IT, and the customer information, so you can get a real holistic understanding of what's actually going on across the whole picture. Good example here is some of the projects we've been involved in where you look at network virtualization. Being able to actually ensure service continuity between moving applications from the physical world to the actual virtual world. I think one of the other things that's become clear as well is that actually being able to deal with so much data as well, visualization is great, but actually automation and future prediction are no longer now nice to haves, that they're actually mandatory to be able to actually run your network as well. So I don't want to talk about our product. If you're interested, you can come to our stand. But in short, we're working with communications providers to help them achieve those goals, basically, by actually putting real-time, digestible information into the hands of hundreds of users, being able to automate that activity, and being able to actually ensure that the platform itself is easy to manage so that you don't need teams of people to be able to manage that. So what I want to do now is actually hand over to Michael from Vodafone, who will actually give you a little bit of an insight into actually the customer journey.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, I'm Michael Mullen. I'm the Optimization Manager in Vodafone. I'd prefer if you called me Mick if you're going to come to me afterwards. In Ireland, we always do things a little bit shorter. I'm going to talk to you about operational intelligence in Ireland and some of the challenges that we met and faced in Ireland and how Zen and Sysmec helped us to overcome those. So what is the operational intelligence and what are the challenges that we faced? So essentially what you have is you have all these different facets of information, data sources coming from different areas of the network, the RAN, the core, the transmission, broadband, TV, our handsets, our probe data. And it's how we were able to manage all that information to come up with a coherent view to help us both from an engineering viewpoint and an optimization front, and also to help us from a customer perspective. So how do we enable our care teams to fix issues quicker, identify issues quicker? One of the key areas for me was that we needed to look at both our RAN and our core. There have been numerous occasions where we'd have a change in our core network. It may have an impact on our RAN network, but we weren't able to identify it quick enough. Having all the data in one system and having the report set up in one system allowed us to capture those quicker, identify the issues quicker, and fix them quicker, which is obviously of benefit to everybody. So our journey. So initially we had our RAN data sources coming into the Zen system. We enriched that with core data, our IMS core, our handset information and call trace and signaling flows, and also brought in our probing. So by enriching our tools, we were able to both fulfill the necessary requirements, which was give us a better view of how our network is performing, allow us, when we do optimization, what actual impact is that having? Is it actually working? I'm going to touch on one of the use cases shortly, where I'm going to show that historically, as a RAN engineer, if you up-tilted or you down-tilted the coverage, you assume that you improved it simply because your statistics on a RAN side told you so. That's not necessarily the case, because there's obviously customers out there that may or may not lose coverage as a result. So what have we achieved over the last year? So one of the major areas for me was, right, how do we measure the call quality and the signal strength when we make changes? So in this graph, what we're showing you is a small little part of Kerry. Kerry is where Star Wars was filmed, if anybody wants to know. So what we have here is we have a view of our ECNO and our RSCP. So in the top right-hand corner here is what we classify as poor service. So for us, what we want to see is when we make our changes is we want to see everything flowing down in here so that we can increase what we classify as good service, good radio conditions, and reduce the other areas. So we were also able to see that on a customer perspective, that we can see that an individual customer could be serving on a cell up to 30 kilometers away. That might not necessarily be the most important cell for that customer to be on. So that sort of visibility allowed us to optimize the network, to improve the network both from a statistical viewpoint but also from a customer viewpoint, give them a better service. This is a very interesting use case that we had where we weren't able to see when a customer did a circuit switch fallback from our 4G network, we weren't able to see exactly where did they land, where did they go on our 3G or a 2G network. By incorporating two different data sources, one our probe data and the other our GPH, we were able to identify very quickly through this use case where customers were doing a circuit switch fallback from our 4G network to our 3G network on the wrong cell, in the right cell, in the wrong area, and exactly what was the success rate for circuit switch fallback. This was really powerful because it allowed us to optimize our 4G network and optimize our circuit switch fallback parameters to ensure that, again, the customer had a great experience. I touched on this earlier on. The important thing for us is to move our customers from the top right-hand corner down into the bottom left-hand corner. What this does is it gives us an idea that the network RAN performance is meeting our customer needs, that we're actually, when we're doing our optimization programs, that we are actually improving the network. We're not just improving the traditional KPIs. This is actually an improvement of the network performance and experience. One other area that we've now used Zen to bring it in is how is our fixed network performing? So what we've done is we've brought in different data sources from our fixed areas, from our wholesale providers, from our own products, and we have built a report that looks at the network performance on a fixed side versus our tickets. So from a customer care perspective, we can see, if we see an increase in tickets, we can see what is the impact on the customer. Do we have an impact on the number of network disconnects? Do we have an increase in broadband speed issues? This is another use case that we wanted to try and develop, and we have done successfully, where we actually look at how is our IP voice network performing. Again, on our fixed network and our fixed services. So we're able to come up with a view of a good measured ratio versus a critical measured ratio in terms of, well, is our IP voice network performing as it should be? The next steps for us is to come up with a way with correlating all of this data, automating this data, and making it easy for all of the different users of the data to do their jobs efficiently and effectively. That's the end game for us. So as you can see, we can close the loop. We identify any future problems and any future customer or any customers that may have issues going forward. We get an understanding of how, from a NetPerform smartphone application, by bringing that data source in, we get an understanding of, well, how is the actual handsets performing, and how are those customers, how's the network performing for those. We also include and develop our customer care portal. We have a customer care portal at the moment for our fixed side. We want to develop a mobile side as well. That essentially is the journey for Vodafone Ireland from an optimization viewpoint. We've come a long way. We've a long way to go. Thank you.